My name is Julianna Hart. I'm 34 years old. And this is the story of how I discovered my husband's betrayal, not just of me, but of our daughter, our home, and our entire life. It began with a knock on the door. I had just placed Adam's favorite chicken pot pie in the oven. The smell of thyme and roasted garlic lingered in the air, cozy and warm like I imagined our little family to be. Upstairs, my daughter Lily, barely 3, had finally drifted into a peaceful nap after fussing most of the day with a runny nose and a slight fever. I was tired, yes, but also grateful. The house was quiet. Safe. Or so I thought. When the doorbell rang, I wiped my hands on my apron and padded to the front door, expecting a package or maybe a neighbor. What I saw instead froze the blood in my veins. A woman. Tall. Poised. Beautiful in a clean, no-nonsense kind of way, light brown skin, high cheekbones, a beige blazer paired with tailored slacks like she'd just stepped out of a boardroom and not onto my front porch in suburban Nashville. Her eyes didn't blink. Her voice didn't tremble. "Josephine Campbell," she asked, even though she already knew. I didn't answer right away. My fingers clutched the edge of the door. She had said my full name like it was a case file. A courtroom citation. "Yes," I replied cautiously. "I'm Vanessa Lee. We need to talk. About Adam." The breath left my body. The name Vanessa felt like a slap. I had seen it on Adam's phone once. Then again. Always dismissed with the same excuse, just a coworker from back in the day, wrong number, spam call. Now that name stood in front of me like a ghost with perfect posture and expensive shoes. "Adam's at the office," I managed. "If you need him, you can." "He's not at the office," she interrupted smoothly. "He's at the Avalon Hotel. Room 608. Like every Tuesday afternoon. For almost a year." And just like that, everything, the scent of dinner, the warmth of our home, the illusion, curled into ash. She raised her phone and tapped it a few times. Then held it up. Photos. First just one. Then more. Adam. My husband. Leaning in to kiss her in an Italian restaurant I'd never seen before. Walking with her on a beach. Holding her in the reflection of a hotel mirror. Lying in bed, half asleep, wearing the t-shirt I had washed just the day before. "I thought I was the only one," Vanessa said quietly, "until last week. When I found his bank records and saw your name. And Lily's." My knees buckled slightly. I leaned on the doorframe. Upstairs, I heard my daughter stir in her crib. The scent of burning cheese began to drift from the kitchen. I couldn't even speak. Vanessa stepped forward. Calm, like she owned the floor. She placed a thick white envelope on my hallway table. "Everything's in here. Transfers. Texts. Receipts. Messages. I didn't come to destroy you, Julianna. I came to tell you the truth." I didn't touch the envelope. I only nodded, silent. "One more thing," she added at the door. "He's drafted the divorce papers. Planning to file by the end of the month. It's already on his laptop." She left. The door shut. I stood frozen for a moment before Lily's soft voice echoed from upstairs. "Mommy?" It grounded me. Pulled me back. I walked into the kitchen, pulled the tray from the oven. The cheese was black. The crust cracked. Dinner was ruined. So was everything else. That night, when Adam came home at 6:10 sharp, like clockwork, he set his briefcase down and leaned in to kiss my cheek. He didn't notice the burn mark on the counter. Or the way I didn't meet his eyes. "What smells good?" he asked. I wiped my hands. "Chicken pot pie," I said calmly. "Got a little burnt." He chuckled, unfazed. "I'll order something." I looked up. Right into his eyes. Are you tired? I asked. Room 608 at the Avalon must be exhausting. His smile faltered. Completely. I don't know what you're talking about. Vanessa Lee stopped by, I said. She brought photos. Messages. She also said you planned to file for divorce without telling me. But I'm guessing you forgot to clear your laptop first. Adam's face paled. He stepped closer. Julianna, listen. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. 8 months, I said coldly. That's how long you've been betraying your wife and child. Lily called for me again. I turned away without another word and went upstairs. Later that night, after Lily had fallen asleep and Adam had retreated to the guest room, I opened his laptop. The file was there. A divorce petition, saved under the name Planning 2024. Alongside it, emails between Adam and a private attorney. Notes. Calculations. Timelines. I downloaded everything. Backed it up to a hard drive. Tucked it in my purse. Then I called Maya Carlson. Maya had once handled the closing for our home. She had also been a law school friend of my late mother. Now, she was one of the top divorce and asset attorneys in Memphis. We met 2 days later at a small cafe downtown. She flipped through the documents with the eyes of a hawk. This isn't just a marital betrayal, she said. This is asset concealment. Potential fraud. Adam's been shifting funds, I replied. I think there's another account. A secondary one. I saw a name once, one I didn't recognize, on a folded statement. Then that's our first move, she said. Get into that account. Track everything. That night, I kissed Lily goodbye and left her with my mother. I just need a few quiet days, I said. She nodded and didn't ask questions. When I returned home, I wasn't a wife anymore. I was a spy in my own house. Adam was on the couch with a beer. Where's Lily? He asked casually. At her grandmother's. I was going to ask you something about Christmas plans. I didn't answer. I walked to the filing cabinet, opened the bottom drawer, and found what I needed. A printed statement from a bank I had never seen before. Withdrawals. Large ones. On the same day each month. I folded the paper and slid it into my coat. Then I left. Tomorrow, Maya would see it. Tomorrow, the game would begin. Tomorrow, I would stop being the woman he left in silence, and become the storm he never saw coming. The next morning, I walked into Maya's office with the statement tucked neatly inside a legal folder. She looked up from her desk and motioned for me to sit. I slid the paper across the table without a word. Her eyes scanned it quickly, then again, slower this time. This isn't a joint account, she murmured. This is a personal business account. Registered under his name, but tied to a holding company. Eden South Property Ventures? My jaw tightened. He told me it was an investment firm. Something he was building for Lily's future. Maya looked up, eyes hard. Julianna, this company doesn't exist. Not legally. No tax ID, no staff, no operational address. It's a shell. The blood in my veins turned cold. He's been funneling money into it for nearly a year. And withdrawing it, she added, tapping the paper. Over $173,000 is gone. That's not just marital mismanagement. That's fraud, and possibly money laundering. It wasn't even the number that hit me, it was the betrayal wrapped around it. This wasn't about love anymore. This was strategy. This was Adam slowly and methodically severing ties while still sleeping beside me. Kissing me on the cheek while siphoning away everything we'd built. Maya leaned back. Do you want to go public with this? Not yet, I said. I want to know where the money went. Then we'll need a forensic accountant. Do it. She nodded, already scribbling down names. We'll also file a motion to freeze any jointly held assets and accounts. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I watched Lily in the crib beside my bed at my mother's house, her tiny chest rising and falling. Innocent. Unaware. I stepped into the hallway, phone in hand, and opened a browser. Eden South Property Ventures. My fingers trembled as I searched. And there it was, a slick-looking website. Photos of waterfront estates, model homes, and happy families drinking wine on patios overlooking artificial lakes. All of it looked real. Legitimate. Until I reverse image searched one of the photos. It was a stock image. From a seminar held 3 years ago in Florida. That liar. That morning, I forwarded everything to Maya. She called me 30 minutes later. We've confirmed Eden South is fake. No permits. No inspections. No payroll. But it gets worse. There's a second company listed under Adam's name, Eden North. Different name, same pattern. What does he do with the money? I whispered. We're still tracing it. But Julianna, this isn't just a cheating husband. This could be a criminal enterprise. 2 days later, I returned to the house while Adam was at work. I knew I had maybe an hour. I rifled through drawers, scanned email logs, copied flash drives. Then, I opened a closet we barely used, the one near the garage door. Inside, on a dusty shelf above some old boxes, was a stack of mail he clearly thought I'd never find. Documents addressed to Emily Harmon. Receipts. Gifts. Hotel bookings. A signed lease for a downtown condo. My heart skipped. The lease was in my name. A property I'd never seen. Paid in full, but tied directly to our joint account. The deposit date matched one of the Eden South withdrawals. My name. My money. Her home. I sat on the closet floor for what felt like hours, the folder resting in my lap, unable to move. When I brought it to Maya the next day, she looked stunned. He's not just stealing from you, she said quietly. He's laundering the money through your identity. I stared out the window. Who is she? That night, I got my answer. Vanessa. At 11:47 p.m., a text lit up my phone. Vanessa Lee, you need to see this. She sent a screenshot of a private Instagram post from an account I didn't recognize. Emily Harmon. Blonde. Chic. Posing beside a Christmas tree. On her hand, an engagement ring. The caption? He asked. I said yes. And next to her, arms wrapped tight around her shoulders, was Adam. Laughing. I drove to Vanessa's apartment just after midnight, heart thudding like a war drum. She opened the door with swollen eyes and a glass of wine in her hand. Come in. We sat in silence at her kitchen table for a long time. Then she slid a folder across to me. He told her that you were his ex-wife. That I was some woman who couldn't let go. I didn't speak. I have a friend who works in records, Vanessa continued. She ran a search on the name Emily Harmon. That condo? It's listed under your name. But she lives there. And she's pregnant. Pregnant. The word crashed over me like ice water. You're not alone, Vanessa said softly. I think there are more of us. I nodded slowly. And I think it's time we stop being his shadows. The next morning, I walked into Maya's office with my head held high. I want to go to the FBI, I said. And I want to destroy him. She didn't blink. Then let's do it right. We gathered everything. Transaction logs. Photos. Statements. Leases. And most importantly, a plan. Vanessa and I walked into the FBI field office 2 days later with a stack of files and a single goal. Take Adam Morgan down. The agent who met us, Carlisle, had the look of a woman who'd heard it all, but something about this case made her eyes narrow. She flipped through the documents like she already knew where the story was going. Eden South. Eden North. Harmon Fund, she muttered. I nodded. All his. Any proof the investments were fake? Yes, I said, sliding over a flash drive. Reverse image searches, client emails, stock photos used as real properties. Carlyle exhaled. If these funds were solicited fraudulently and used for personal gain under a business pretense, that qualifies as wire fraud, identity fraud, and potentially money laundering. She looked up. We'll need a smoking gun. I didn't hesitate. He's hosting an investor dinner this Friday night. People from 3 states are coming to hear about the next phase of Eden South. Her eyes lit up. Perfect. We left the office with one mission. Let him put on his show. And when the curtain drops? He won't be the one taking the final bow. Friday night came faster than I expected. My heart should have been racing, but instead there was a strange calm in my chest, as if something inside me had already accepted what needed to happen. I stood in front of the mirror, pinning my hair into a low twist, my black satin dress hugging every inch of me like armor. Lily was safe with my mother. Vanessa was already at the venue, seated at a back table under the alias Victoria Lane. Agent Carlyle and 2 others were posing as investors, each carrying concealed recorders. The FBI surveillance team would wait until the right moment, until he incriminated himself. Adam thought he was throwing an exclusive investor event. He didn't know it would be his final performance. Birkland and Vine was a luxury rooftop restaurant in Nashville, known for its panoramic skyline views and velvet-lit ambience. When I stepped out of the elevator, everything smelled like wine and expensive deception. Laughter floated in the air, delicate jazz trickled through the speakers, and crystal glasses clinked with false promises. I spotted him instantly. Adam stood beneath a golden chandelier, in his signature navy suit. Confident. Charming. A master of illusion. He moved like someone who believed the world was in his hands. And for years it had been. Until now. He placed a possessive hand on Emily's lower back as he gestured toward a mock-up of the so-called Eden Lake Estates. She beamed up at him like a woman who thought she'd just secured the perfect man. I slipped through the crowd like vapor. Not one person recognized me. Not even him. Until I spoke. Adam Morgan. His back stiffened. Slowly, he turned. The room dimmed, as if the chandelier itself pulled back in fear. His eyes widened. Julianna. A ripple went through the crowd. Whispers. Curious glances. I stepped into the light, calm and steady. Maybe you'd like to introduce me to your fiancé? Emily blinked. Fiancé? I'm his wife, I said simply. Julianna Hart Morgan. Mother of his daughter. The one he didn't mention tonight. Emily's eyes darted to Adam. He didn't speak. Let's make this more interesting, I continued, removing a flash drive from my clutch and sliding it into the projector's USB slot. The screen flickered. Everyone turned. Photos of wire transfers. Leases. Fake real estate mock-ups. Side-by-side comparisons of stolen stock images and development shots from Eden South and Eden North. Gasps echoed. What is this? Someone whispered. I'll tell you, I said, voice rising. It's a web of fraud, built by the man you're all about to invest in. Adam Morgan created multiple shell companies under the pretense of luxury real estate development. But the only real estate he's been investing in? Are luxury condos for his mistress. Funded by his wife's account. My account. Maya's voice echoed in my head, you need a punch to end the speech. One that makes jaws drop. I delivered it now, pulling out a printed lease agreement. And Emily, sweetheart, you've been living in the condo I unknowingly paid for. Your engagement ring? Funded by embezzlement. Emily's face turned the color of ash. Adam, tell me she's lying. He opened his mouth. That's when Agent Carlisle stepped forward. Adam Morgan, FBI. You're under arrest for federal financial fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Gasps filled the room. Glass shattered somewhere behind me. Adam stumbled backward. You can't do this. This is a private event. These accusations, this woman is unstable. You're not the one in control anymore, I cut in, my voice like steel. And for once, everyone's finally watching you fall. He lunged toward the exit, but he didn't make it far. 3 plainclothes agents swarmed him, forced him to the floor, cuffed his wrists behind his back. Cameras flashed. Phones filmed. And somewhere in that swirl of chaos, Emily quietly walked out the side door, shaking and pale, engagement ring left behind on a napkin. Vanessa stepped beside me. We didn't smile. We didn't gloat. We just watched. It was over. Or so I thought. The next week, headlines exploded. Nashville investor arrested in Ponzi scheme. Wife exposes husband's double life at investor dinner. Eden South, real estate mirage or criminal operation? I was flooded with messages, some anonymous, some from women claiming they had once dated Adam under different aliases. One even sent me a photo of her and Adam in Aspen, same resort, same suite he had once told me was strictly business. The FBI froze all of Adam's known accounts. Maya helped me file a civil suit for damages and identity theft. I reclaimed the title of our house, pressed full charges, and filed for full custody of Lily. I was finally breathing again. Until the phone rang. A defense lawyer. Flat voice. No warmth. My client is willing to plead guilty in exchange for leniency and visitation rights. I blinked. Visitation? He wishes to see his daughter. No. You might want to reconsider. He has leverage information he could make public. I let out a hollow laugh. Let him. I hung up. The next day, Vanessa texted me. One sentence. It's about Portland. 2016, urgent. I drove to her place immediately. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. Adam used a different name in Portland, she said. Nathan Carter. He ran a boutique investment firm. And? There was a woman. Leah Madsen. She invested everything. I didn't breathe. She lost it all. Her savings. Her family's trust. And then, she disappeared. Suicide suspected. The weight of it crushed the air in my lungs. He didn't just break hearts, Vanessa whispered. He ended lives. She handed me a yellowed article. A photo of Leah. Smiling. Young. Gone. I stared at it for a long time. He's done this before, I said. We have to stop him from ever doing it again. Vanessa met my eyes. I'm with you. The next morning, we walked into the FBI field office with Leah's file. Agent Carlisle didn't flinch. She took it, flipped through, and said only 4 words. We're opening the case. But Adam wasn't done yet. The real storm had only just begun. I thought the arrest would be the final act. That the courtroom drama, the frozen accounts, the media chaos, would be the end. But Adam always had a way of staying 3 steps ahead. He didn't just play defense. He planned for war. It was barely 6 a.m. when my mother called me, her voice sharp with panic. Julianna, someone was asking about Lily at daycare. I bolted upright in bed. What do you mean someone was asking? Who? A man. Tall. Said he was a relative, but didn't give a name. The staff said he walked away before they could verify anything. Julianna. I don't think this is over. I clutched the phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. Within the hour, I called Agent Carlisle. Her tone was calm but tight, controlled. We've been monitoring Adam's communications in the detention facility. But there are signs someone inside may have leaked information. Possibly a guard. My blood ran cold. He's trying to take Lily. We believe he may be attempting an escape, or, at minimum, coordinating something from inside. Julianna, you and your daughter are now considered high risk. We're initiating relocation protocol. Less than 12 hours later, Lily, my mother, and I were moved into a federal safe house in a quiet area outside Knoxville. A small 2-bedroom house, surrounded by fields and woods. It looked like the kind of place someone might retire in. But it was a fortress in disguise. Motion sensors. Hidden cameras. Bulletproof glass. Panic buttons in every room. That first night, Lily clung to me tighter than usual. I read her 3 bedtime stories, sang her favorite lullaby, and watched her drift off in the dim light. Her teddy bear, the one Adam had bought her for her 2nd birthday, lay curled in her arms. What she didn't know, what I couldn't explain, is that the bear now held a hidden transmitter sewn into its ear. It would record, track, and ping any unexpected signals. Agent Carlisle's team had embedded it during our relocation, just in case. I tried to sleep. I really did. But around 2:30 a.m., I heard a soft creak outside. Then footsteps. I froze. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. He was here. I moved quickly, scooping Lily into my arms and retreating to the bedroom. I pressed the red emergency button behind the nightstand. Then I waited. A second creak. Closer. And then a voice. Low. Calm. Familiar. Don't scream, Jules. I just want to see her. I turned. He was in the hallway. Hair unkempt. Eyes wild. Dressed in black. Pale from weeks in a cell. But still Adam. Or whatever was left of him. You escaped, I said, barely above a whisper. I never stopped watching you, he replied. You think they can keep me locked away while you parade my name through the mud? I backed farther into the room, Lily still asleep in my arms. He pulled a stack of papers from inside his jacket. Sign these. Custody transfer. Emergency guardianship. I take her. I leave. You'll never hear from me again. I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. You really think I'm stupid? His smile darkened. You don't have a choice. But I wasn't the same woman he once manipulated. You should look up. A second later, floodlights blasted the yard in white light. Men swarmed the property. Adam turned, tried to run, but he didn't make it far. He was tackled to the floor, his face pressed into the hardwood. Agent Carlisle stood behind them, gun still drawn. You walked right into the net, she said. The transmitter had recorded everything. His threats. His intentions. His presence. It was all the FBI needed. He was dragged away, cursing, screaming my name. Lily never even stirred. 2 weeks later, Adam Morgan stood in court again. No suit this time. Just a prison jumpsuit and hollowed eyes. The judge read the final sentence. 20 years. No parole. Charges included federal financial fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to abduct a minor, attempted unlawful custody acquisition, and violating federal protection orders. When the gavel came down, Adam didn't flinch. But I did. Not in fear, just in release. I didn't even look at him. I turned to the back of the courtroom, where Lily sat in my mother's lap, hugging her bear. She gave me a little wave. We were finally safe. But Adam left behind a long shadow. And it wasn't done stretching. 3 weeks later, Vanessa called me. I'm moving, she said. To Denver. Leah Madsen's family lives there. I want to help them file a case. My chest tightened. You don't have to carry that. Yes, I do, she replied softly. For her. For me. For all the women he used like ghosts. It's time someone did the right thing. We met one last time at a small cafe in Edge Hill. She looked lighter. Stronger. She slid a small envelope across the table. This is for you. Inside was a copy of a letter Leah had written to her best friend. Dated 2 weeks before she died. It was raw. Honest. Full of heartbreak. But the final line would stay with me forever. If anyone ever finds this, please don't let him do this to someone else. I folded it carefully. Tucked it into my wallet. And made a vow. I would never let another woman walk through fire alone. I opened my own consulting firm that spring, Lighthouse Strategies. A place for women who had survived toxic relationships, manipulative partnerships, or financial exploitation. My first client? A woman whose husband was hiding debts and gaslighting her. I didn't just advise her. I held her hand. I told her the truth. Sometimes, the fire you survive is what gives you the strength to light your own path. Every morning, Lily and I would walk to the park. Our new apartment overlooked a quiet green space with swings and wildflowers. And on one cool April afternoon, as the sky blazed a perfect blue and the wind danced through the trees, Lily looked up at me and said, "Mom, can I fly?" I knelt down, brushed her hair back, and whispered, "You can do anything, baby girl. As long as you're not afraid to fall." And she ran across the field with her arms outstretched, laughing. Free. Just like me. I used to think closure was a lie. That the best you could hope for after betrayal this deep was survival. That if you could just keep breathing, get through one more day, one more hour, that was enough. But watching Lily run through the grass, her laughter rising into the wind, I realized something. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was healing. And healing, for me, looked like purpose. I launched Lighthouse Strategies officially that May, and word spread faster than I expected. I wasn't a big firm. I didn't have ads on billboards or features in magazines. But I had something stronger, real stories. Quiet referrals. Whispers from woman to woman, call Julianna. She's been through it. She'll help you get out. My second client was a woman named Sharon, whose husband had drained her retirement account behind her back. The third was Monica, a school principal gaslit for years into thinking her salary was being invested by her partner, when in fact, he had been gambling it away. Each time, I sat across from them. Not as a lawyer. Not even as a strategist. But as a survivor. And I listened. I didn't cry anymore. Not over Adam. Not even when I saw new photos surface of him in orange jumpsuits, being led between federal facilities in shackles. He was a name in articles now. A warning in business seminars. A cautionary tale whispered in backrooms. I had stripped him of his power. But there was still one more thing left to do. One morning, Vanessa called. She was in Denver now, working with Leah Madsen's family. They were ready to file a wrongful death suit against Adam's estate. There's one more name I found, she told me quietly. A woman in Atlanta. Her name's Francesca. I think she was his fiancée in 2013, under the name Jason Cole. I wasn't even shocked anymore. Just sad. How many? I whispered. Too many. We decided to create a digital file, codenamed the Atlas Project, to trace every identity, company, and woman linked to Adam. By August, there were 7 known aliases, 5 states, 3 official fraud complaints, and a total estimated embezzlement of over $2.3 million. He was running a system, Vanessa said one night, as we reviewed the data over video call. Not just cheating. Not just stealing. He was building a web. And we're the ones who finally lit the match, I said. That's when Vanessa paused. Julianna, there's something else. She leaned forward. Her voice dipped into something dark. One of the financial forensics teams discovered a private encrypted email. Adam sent a file to a name we hadn't seen before. Days before his first arrest. I felt my chest tighten. To who? His brother. I blinked. No, Adam didn't have a brother. I met his whole family. Vanessa shook her head. Not by blood. It's someone listed as a business partner on an early Eden North registration. The name's Trent Walker. I nearly dropped my coffee. Trent. The man who had shown up at my house, trying to negotiate a soft landing. He's not just a friend, Vanessa said. He's a co-conspirator. And we think he's still operating under the radar. Setting up new ventures in Arizona. Same template. New shell companies. No trace of Adam's name. My pulse quickened. Do the FBI know? They suspect. But they need more. They need someone inside. I was silent. And then I said the one sentence I never thought I would say again. Give me a wire. Vanessa stared at me. I'll go to Trent, I continued. Pretend I'm finally willing to settle. Tell him I'm looking to rebuild after all the damage Adam did. Offer to invest. And get him to talk. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, you're braver than you know. That weekend, I met Trent at a hotel bar in Atlanta. I wore my old power suit, navy blue, tailored, the one Adam always said made me look too serious. Perfect. Trent arrived 5 minutes late, same arrogant smirk as always. Julianna. Wasn't expecting to hear from you. I shrugged. I've had time to think. You offered me a soft landing once. Maybe I'm ready now. His eyes narrowed. You want to invest? I want to rebuild. He ordered drinks. I sipped slowly. The wire tucked beneath my blouse recorded every word. He launched into his pitch. A new venture. Lakeside properties outside Scottsdale. Very hush. Very limited. Founding investors only. Same setup as Eden South? I asked casually. He didn't flinch. Improved. No messy ties this time. No Adam, he meant. But the smirk said enough. He was continuing what Adam started. I kept him talking. About money. About timing. About company names. About how no one could trace it now that the fall guy was behind bars. And I smiled. Because he had no idea he was already buried. 3 days later, the FBI raided Trent Walker's Scottsdale condo and office. They found multiple shell corporations, burner phones, offshore transfers, and an encrypted ledger linking him directly to Eden South and Eden North. He was arrested on 6 charges. The headlines lit up again, second man in Eden scheme caught. Morgan's business partner faces federal charges. And just like that, the last root of Adam's empire was cut from the ground. When I told Vanessa, she cried. I thought he'd get away, she whispered. All of them always do. Not this time, I said. Because you didn't give up. And neither did I. By fall, Leah Madson's family officially filed suit. The Atlas project was handed off to the Justice Department. And Lighthouse Strategies was now serving women in 3 states. I kept Leah's letter in a frame by my desk. A reminder. That silence is the soil where abusers grow. And speaking out? That's the fire that burns it all down. By the time the first leaves fell in October, I no longer flinched when I heard Adam's name. It wasn't power anymore. It wasn't fear. It was history. And I was the one who wrote the last chapter. My days were now filled with purpose, calls from new clients, meetings with women brave enough to say, this is not okay, and quiet moments walking Lily to preschool. She held my hand tighter than she used to. Like she knew I had once almost lost everything, including her. Lighthouse Strategies expanded faster than I planned. I never intended it to be more than a lifeline for a few, but it became a movement. A network of survivors turned strategists. Women who'd been silenced, now advising others how to roar. And just when I thought we had reached the final page, a knock came at the door of our new office in East Nashville. It was Maya. She looked different that day. A strange mix of excitement and weight sat on her face. "Julianna," she said, shutting the door behind her. "We have a problem. And a chance." I frowned. "What kind of problem?" She handed me a brown envelope. Inside, copies of emails. Drafts of letters. Contracts I'd never signed. "What is this?" "Settlement proposals," she said grimly. "From Adam's defense team." I told them, he doesn't get visitation. He doesn't get anything. "They're not asking for visitation," she replied. "They're offering a plea deal in civil court. If you agree not to pursue personal damages beyond the initial fraud, he'll drop his counterclaim." I blinked. "Counterclaim? What counterclaim?" Maya pulled out a second folder. "Defamation," she said. "Emotional distress. Claims you intentionally ruined his career, his legacy, and that you used the media to influence the criminal case." I couldn't help it, I laughed. Bitter and sharp. "He ran a multi-state Ponzi scheme and tried to abduct our daughter. But I ruined his life?" Maya didn't smile. "The concern is public perception. His lawyer thinks he can manipulate the narrative, play the victim. Claim it was a domestic feud gone wrong. You know how fast that kind of story spreads." My stomach turned. "Then we need to shut it down." Maya leaned forward. "I think we sue. Not just for damages. Not just for Lily. But to prove legally, publicly, undeniably that everything he touched was fraudulent. And that no matter how many times he tries to reframe the story, the truth follows." I was quiet for a long time. Then I nodded. "Let's bury what's left of him." The next 6 weeks were a storm of depositions, document dumps, strategy sessions, and late-night coffee. But I didn't shy away from any of it. Not this time. Vanessa joined the suit, as did 2 more women we uncovered through the Atlas Project, Francesca from Atlanta and Claire from Miami. Each had nearly lost everything. Each had been told by Adam, or Jason, or Nathan, or whatever name he was using at the time, that they were the only one. That he was starting a new life with them. That the other woman was unstable. Dangerous. A liar. The pattern was as familiar as it was chilling. At the pre-trial hearing, Adam appeared via video from federal prison. His once charming face now looked drawn, thinner, gray at the temples. He didn't look at me. But I looked at him. And I didn't feel hate. I felt pity. Because the man who once convinced half a dozen women he was their future now had nothing but prison walls and a stack of indictments. When the judge asked if he had anything to say, Adam leaned forward. "I loved her," he said, motioning toward the camera. "I loved Julianna. I was sick. I made mistakes. But this media circus she created? That was revenge. Not justice." I didn't move. I let the silence speak. Then Maya stood. "Your Honor," she said clearly, "will let the evidence do the talking." It did. By the time the civil trial opened in December, our case had grown stronger than any of us imagined. The forensic team found hidden offshore accounts Adam had never disclosed. Vanessa uncovered private voicemails. Francesca testified about a second engagement ring. Claire provided an email with wiring instructions to a fake developer in Panama. And I brought the final blow. A journal. My journal. The one I started the day after Vanessa first knocked on my door. I read from it on the stand, tears running down my face, but my voice steady. I thought I was building a family. I thought I was protecting my daughter's future. But I was funding my own erasure. Every dollar he took, every lie he told, wasn't just about money. It was about control. And I'm here today to say, I will never be silent again. The courtroom was still. Even the judge didn't blink. The verdict? Unanimous in our favor. Adam Morgan, ordered to pay restitution to all 4 women, surrender any remaining assets, and permanently barred from any financial advisory or consulting roles after his prison term. But the money didn't matter to me. The silence did. The erasure was over. I was visible now. The day the judgment was handed down, I took Lily to the bakery by the river, the one with the big windows and the soft chairs. We split a chocolate croissant and watched the snow flurry outside. She looked up at me with a chocolate-smudged smile. "Mommy? Are you happy now?" I blinked, caught off guard. Then nodded. "I'm getting there. Because healing isn't clean. It's messy and uneven. It comes in waves, some fierce, some soft. But it comes. And when you fight for it, it stays. It's strange, the moment you realize the storm has passed. It doesn't come with trumpets. There's no confetti or parade. No one stands there to clap and say, "You made it." It comes quietly. Like waking up and realizing, for the first time in what feels like forever, you're not afraid. It had been 6 months since the civil judgment. Adam's name had vanished from the headlines. His lawyer made one last attempt to appeal the damages, claiming unfair emotional influence on the jury due to my testimony, but it was denied in record time. He would serve the rest of his 20-year sentence with no more interruptions. No more schemes. No more aliases. Just silence. And I had built something from that silence. Lighthouse Strategies now had a team of 5 women, each with their own story, their own survival. We weren't just consultants anymore, we were protectors. Builders. We had helped nearly 200 women recover their assets, escape financial manipulation, and rebuild their lives with dignity. I gave lectures. I wrote articles. I was even invited to speak at a women's justice symposium in Washington, D.C., where a senator approached me afterward and said, "You're the reason my niece left her husband. Thank you for that." I smiled politely, but I didn't take the credit. Because none of this started with ambition. It started with betrayal. With a knock on my door. With a ruined chicken pot pie and a woman named Vanessa who didn't know where else to turn. We didn't set out to start a revolution. But sometimes, revolutions are born in kitchens. One quiet January afternoon, I sat on the floor of Lily's bedroom, folding her tiny socks as she built a glittering Lego tower beside me. "Mom," she said suddenly, without looking up, "are bad people born bad?" I paused. "No, baby. Some people make bad choices over and over until they become someone they don't even recognize." "Is that what happened to Daddy?" I swallowed. Carefully. Softly. "Yes." She didn't ask anything else. She didn't cry. She just nodded and went back to building her tower. Later that evening, I stood on our small balcony, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the Nashville skyline. The wind was gentle, the stars quiet. And I thought of Leah. Of Francesca. Of Claire. Of Vanessa. Of every woman who had been told she was overreacting. That she was imagining things. That she should forgive and forget. And I knew what I had to do next. Not just help women recover. But help them prepare. I created a second branch under Lighthouse Strategies, the Sentinel Program, a preventive education campaign for women entering marriages, business partnerships, or caregiving situations. It would teach them how to protect their credit, their name, their rights. How to spot financial red flags before they bled dry. No more victims left in the dark. No more walking alone. The program launched quietly at first. But within weeks, universities and women's advocacy groups were asking for materials. Lawyers referred clients. Financial advisors signed up for partnership. I even received a letter from a woman in Oregon. Handwritten. I left my husband 2 months ago. I watched your story on YouTube. And I remembered Leah's name. I had seen her once. You're the reason I didn't stay silent. Thank you. I framed that letter. It sits right above my desk. One evening, months later, I got a message from Vanessa. A photo. She was standing with Leah Madsen's parents, smiling in front of a courthouse in Denver. Her message was simple. We won. They had secured a posthumous financial ruling in Leah's name, making Adam responsible for her loss of assets and damages to the family. It wouldn't bring Leah back, but it gave her memory weight. Legitimacy. Honor. It gave her justice. I stared at the photo for a long time. And then I wept. Not from pain. But from peace. A year after Adam's final sentencing, I melted my wedding ring down into a pendant. A simple silver circle. I wear it on a chain around my neck, not as a symbol of grief, but of growth. I once loved. I once trusted. I once fell. But I didn't stay there. Now, every morning, Lily and I walk to the park near our apartment. She races ahead, arms out, her laughter echoing off the trees. And every time I see her fly across that grass, fearless and free, I know. This is the ending I never expected. But it's the one I fought for. One April afternoon, as the cherry blossoms bloomed and the air smelled like rain and promise, Lily climbed onto my lap under the tree. She held up a paper airplane, carefully folded. Do you think it can go all the way to the sky? She asked. I kissed the top of her head and whispered. Only if it believes it can. And she ran across the field, laughing, launching her little dream into the sky. The wind caught it perfectly. And it soared. Julianna's story isn't just about betrayal. It's about reclaiming your life after someone tried to erase it. It's about truth, strength, and the fire we find when we refuse to stay silent. Thank you for watching Revenge Echoes. If you've ever been silenced, underestimated, or betrayed, know that your story matters. Share your thoughts below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, the strongest voices are the ones that rise from ashes.